Okay, you're the new Shadow Treasurer. You have a big role to play here, and already I can see you getting under the skin of the government. We talk about reform on productivity. I note the NAB boss today is saying if something isn't urgently done, this might be as good as Australia gets. We saw that interest rate rise just a couple of weeks ago, and I think it really changed the psyche of where Australians are at the moment. So I know, Tim, you've been thinking about this for a while. You say it requires unconventional thinking. So what are the big ideas?
Well, we'll be outlining some of those soon, and I mean very soon. But I've given a framework which is small and family business and the self-employed will be central to our policy agenda because I want to think more like a startup, less like a big business. We need challenges in the market. They're the ones who are going to create the new economic opportunity and the growth that the Australian economy desperately needs, and we'll get unconventional thinking from them. One of the hubris things of this government is they think that they can treat Australians like chess pieces on a board, where they just get big unions, big capital, big government and big business, and then they get to decide the levers and where everybody gets to go. We're challengers. We should have a startup culture that thinks boldly, confidently, but more importantly, encourages new entrants to challenge the marketplace.
If you want to think like a startup, and I know in some of the reporting in the AFR that you blame corporate Australia for being too risk averse, mired in complacency, but if we want to be a startup and have that different attitude, which I agree we need, isn't that due to over-regulation? It's the very lever the parliament and you have to control. Government sets the tone for culture. So is it really fair to, call corporate Australia, the biggest employers at the moment, complacent and mired in complacency?
Well, the biggest employers in the nation are the millions of small businesses, family businesses out there in the economy, but they hire one or two or five people, and they're the ones who have to live the consequences of big business regulation. You're 100% right. I'm not blaming big business specifically. What I'm saying is
But if you're saying corporate Australia is too risk averse, isn't that due to the regulations?
That's exactly what I'm saying,
Parliament
Laura.
ultimately controls.
Yes,
What are you going to do about that?
Well, I can assure you we have well-developed plans, which we'll be releasing very shortly. But you're 100% right. The Parliament has set the tone, which is to take the risk out of the economy. They've burdened big business with the cost of regulation, and the consequence of that is we have big business bureaucracies. We don't have challenges in the market that are dynamic and investing in the future. But the real issue is big and large businesses are always going to be with HR departments, legal departments, tax compliance departments. All those costs are being put onto small business, and they don't have any of those resources. So you have small businesses working for the government and for compliance. We need to lift that pathway off for small business. They're the ones who will be the medium-sized and big businesses of the future. I absolutely want to drive an economic culture that lets them thrive.
Okay, let's talk about the Howard era. You say, and really this is to your colleagues, the Howard era is over. So will you hang on to and defend the Howard era CGT as it is?
You've misunderstood my comment. The point is the world has moved on from the 1990s and the early 2000s. We're in a very different world today. Geopolitically, it's changed. Technology, it's changed. I've written an article in the Financial Review stepping through how it's changed and why it's important for us to adjust. The key point is we need taxes that are aligned to the incentives of what we want to encourage. At the moment, we want to encourage more housing. Jim Chalmers' answer to that is to put a new tax on housing. That is not a logical conclusion that I can draw. I want to see more housing, so rents come down, but more Australians can achieve home ownership. That isn't by applying Jim Chalmers' new housing tax.